Hey guys, how you doing? It's Marketing Johnson here. Now, today I'm going to show you how to turn your kitchen from this to this. From this to this. Okay? If you want to increase value in your home, if you want to increase rents, this is how to do it on an extremely low price. I'm going to show you how to transform your kitchen, make it look like a brand new $40,000 kitchen without spending hardly any money. Now this is absolutely perfect for those old outdated kitchens, but they are still functional. Maybe they have a few repairs that need to be done, you know, a little bit of water damage or something, but they're still functional kitchens. Now this, what I'm about to teach you, usually gets a bad rap because people go, oh, it's not a good quality job. You know, if you're painting or you're epoxying cabinets, whatever, it peels off. Well, I can tell you I've done this for a long time. I've done this multiple times. This, if it's followed the steps correctly, this will be almost as strong as like a brand new polyurethane kitchen. You know, the paint does not peel off, it does not chip off, it is very strong and it lasts for a very, very long time, if done correctly. When it comes to kitchens, you can't just think about the kitchen cabinets because there's other things in there too. You got your bench tops, you got your splashback, you got the actual cupboards, and then you got the doors and panels on the cupboards. So right now I'm going to give you some timestamps. If you only want to do your cupboards, or if you only want to do the bench top or the splashback, whatever, here's the timestamp so you can skip to that part of the video, because this video has all the value and all the information in it that you need to do each one of these steps perfectly, and a very good quality job that will last a long time, and you can do it by yourself. So you can skip to whatever step you want to do, or you can watch the whole video and I can show you how to really restore a kitchen from an old outdated kitchen to something that looks like a brand new $40,000 kitchen. Now guys, it's important to realize if your cabinets and stuff really are shot, like there's no turning them around, you need to get a new kitchen, okay? There's no point in trying to repair them. And the best way to get a new kitchen would be to go to IKEA and actually get a kitchen. They'll design it all with you. It's really easy. They can whip it up on the computer in like half an hour. Really nice customized kitchen. They have so many different colors and choices. And then you would get the whole package done at IKEA and you get all your discounts and stuff, and they literally keep them in stock. So that kitchen's ready to go. Then you would hire a contractor to install it for you. And why I recommend doing this is, for one, you're in control of the job then. You're in control of the price. You're not having a kitchen company rip you off by adding an extra $10,000 or something, however they see fit. You have full control over it. IKEA have their set prices, and then the contractor, you know how much he's getting paid out of it. And another great thing about this with the IKEA kitchens is they're ready that day. Like you can literally design the kitchen on the computer and then get it delivered to your house, to your rental property that day. They keep everything in stock. It's amazing. It's an amazing process. So that's why I like the IKEA kitchens. And you're going to be saving a lot of money on rent, because say a normal kitchen company has about a 6-week turnaround. So 6 weeks of rent you would be missing out on while you're waiting for this kitchen to get slowly installed, instead of having it done the next day. Now, if all the cabinets are in reasonable condition, good working sort of condition, doesn't matter if there's a little bit of damage, they can now be modified, enhanced, and restored to look really, really good. Now let's start with how you restore, modify these cabinets, these kitchen cabinets. Step one is going to be to look at the kitchen, go, okay, I want to add some here. So for example, with this kitchen, I wanted to add a built-in fridge space. So we've got 2 panels and we've got this extra fridge cabinet at the top. Now all this stuff can be purchased from your local hardware store. Bunnings is my local hardware store. So you can literally go in there, get the 2 panels either side, the large ones, the brown ones, are called MDF, okay? MDF panels, you want to buy 2 of those. They can cut them to size, whatever size you need. You just got to give them the size. And then the cabinet at the top, the fridge cabinet, is a flat packed, just a small flat pack cabinet that you literally buy in a box and you put it together, okay? Now you also want to get MDF doors cut for this cabinet as well to match your panels. Now obviously they're not going to be this color. You can sand the MDF and you can paint it and restore it the same as the cabinet, so it will all match once it's done. So that's step one. Any damaged parts of the kitchen or any extra parts you want to add on, you do at the beginning and make those out of MDF. Now number 2, once you're happy with all the modifications and stuff and you're ready to start restoring these panels and doors, you need to take off all the doors. 2 screws at the top, 2 screws at the bottom is a standard kitchen hinge, and then it should just pop off. Pretty straightforward. Now with the panels, they're a little bit harder to get off, so usually you can just leave those panels on. Now you want to make sure you mask off and tape around all the cabinets and stuff, so you're only painting the panels. You don't want to be painting the nice white carcass of the cabinets. And step 3, you now want to clean everything thoroughly. You really need to clean a lot, okay? This is the most important part of the whole process, okay? No paint's gonna stick to grease and oil. Pay particular attention to cleaning the doors around the range hood and the stove area, because that's where oil's spitting up everywhere. And what you wanna clean it with is wax and grease remover. Now, I know on the paint that I'm about to tell you to use, it says don't use any solvents on there, use sugar soap. Wax and grease remover I have found is the best to really scrub in and get all that crap off the doors. And it does evaporate off the doors pretty much straight away. So I find that's completely fine to use. Wax and grease remover is the best stuff. It's safe. You really want to give them a good scrub because this is such an important thing. Spend more time on the actual cleaning of the doors than you would on pretty much the rest of the project. Now 4, fix any edges. So if you've got laminate doors, then you might have some of these PVC edges that are on the sort of the edge of the doors. They might be peeling off a little bit, whatever. Fix those before you do anything else. You just want to put a little bit of silicone in between the edge and the door, push it back down and just tape over it. And then that will dry and the edge will be stuck back on. Now step 5, okay, actually priming these doors ready for paint. This is also a super important step. You cannot skip this because most people skip it and then the paint chips easily or it peels off after a couple of years. This is super important. If you have laminate doors or plastic laminate doors, so it could be, it's that fake sort of timber, you know, it's like a flat and it's got the timber grain, it's like a laminate or a plastic door. The actual door's not plastic, but it does have like a plastic film over it or a laminate film and PVC plastic edges around the doors. You need a plastic and laminate primer for this. Now, this is the stuff I use. And it's a 2-part sort of primer. It's actually very toxic stuff. It basically melts itself into the plastic and it does a really, really good job. So it's a 2-part, you need to mix it together. It'll last maybe like a day or 2, like nice and wet, and then you just apply it to all your doors. That's the first step. If you have timber doors, so those old timber varnish doors, the really nice ones, you need to sand the varnish a little bit. Make sure they're really clean, sand them, and then you need to apply a stain blocking primer, okay? Most paints will stick to the timber, no problem, but to block that timber from like the stain on the actual timber from coming through your nice white or grey finish, whatever you're going with, when you paint it eventually, you want to put a stain blocking primer on the doors, and you need to make sure that they're not going brown after you put this primer on, because that means the stain's coming through, you need to do another coat. So stain blocking primer if they're that timber varnish doors. Okay, number 6, your cabinetry paint. You can't just use normal house paint, you've got to use specific cabinetry paint. This is the stuff I use. Now this gets very hard and it doesn't come off and you can bump it, scratch it, whatever, and it is very strong. It's excellent paint. Now you want it to be self-leveling paint too. Otherwise you've got to spray it on there if you want a nice finish. With the self-leveling paint you can just roll it on and it will literally level and go like a glass-like finish without having to use a spray gun. So that's why I like this paint. It's self-leveling and it's very tough. Now you've got to choose, do you want to go gloss or do you want to go like a flat sort of matte color? Now with a gloss, any little dings or dents in your doors, so if they're really old doors, you might not want to use gloss. But gloss does look better most of the time. But again, you've got to think about it. If there's a lot of little dings and stuff in your doors, the gloss will really show that up, whereas the matte pretty much hides it and makes it just look like a nice flat door. And, matte's in fashion at the moment, so, my last couple of ones I've done have actually been a more matte color, not so much a gloss, and it looks really good. As for this paint that I use, you can tint the color to whatever you want. I get this paint from Bunnings, you can get it from, Dulux, wherever, but this is the stuff I use and it can be tinted to any color. Now you need to do 2 coats on each side of the door. The back side isn't super important. You could probably get away with 1 coat on there. I do that sometimes. So what I'll do is I'll flip the door hinge side up. I'll do 1 coat on the back and then I'll put it on a little piece of timber, flip it back over after that side's dry, do 1 coat on the front and then I'll do another coat on the front again and let that dry. It can all be done in one day. Now while they are drying, you can go and use Jif to clean all the cabinets and make them beautiful and white on the insides again. That nice, beautiful white carcass color, really give them a good clean out, and that makes a big difference too. And you need to wait 12 hours before you can put the doors back on after you've done your last coat. Now, the paint won't be fully dry then. It takes about a week for it to fully harden before you can use, like, you know, really tough cleaning products and stuff on it. You don't want to be doing any of that before at least a week, and you shouldn't have to anyway. But you can put the doors on after 12 hours. That's completely fine. And put your handles on and stuff, save time, get it all sorted. Now, this does really last a long time. I've used this many a times, and it's an excellent way to restore your cabinets. It looks great, especially the products they have now. Some really, really great stuff. So I would highly recommend doing this if your cabinets are in decent condition, rather than replacing with all brand new cabinets, because paint for this entire project is only about less than $250. So you're getting out of it really cheap, and it does take, it is a bit time, you know, consuming, but you can hire a laborer or a contractor to do this for you, but you can save some money doing it yourself. Now, benchtop replacement or restoration. We've got stone, laminate, epoxy over the old benchtop. Which one do you go for? What prices are you looking at? And what do I recommend? Now, obviously it depends how much you want to spend. I'm a big fan of laminate bench tops, okay? Laminate will literally last like 30 years. You can get 30 years out of a laminate bench top as long as it's installed correctly. The trick with laminate bench tops, installing them, is to make sure they're waterproofed. So in the joins, make sure there's lots of silicone in there to waterproof it, and at the back corners, along where the splashback is, silicone that. You want that to be waterproof, and they will literally last so long. They're scratch resistant, they're friggin' heat resistant, they're stain resistant, everything. Laminate is an excellent product, and it's super cheap. Now I'm gonna show you how much this benchtop cost in this kitchen. This was $1,000, and the benchtop for this kitchen was already here, but I can tell you from experience, you're looking at about $500 to $600 for this benchtop. You can get some really good stone lookalikes now in the laminate. So is it worth getting stone when you can have a laminate that looks a lot like stone, but is more durable, doesn't stain, and a lot cheaper? That's for you to decide. Now, if you want stone, stone gets very expensive, especially if you're picky about what kind of stone you want. The way I would do it, and this is how I do all my bathroom vanities when I get stone for them, I call up, do you guys have some offcuts? You know, you're not picky about the color, you just want a reasonable modern color of stone. Do you have some offcuts that will fit this size? And if they do, they will usually, because they're just sitting around in their factory, they will do you an extremely good deal on a stone benchtop using the offcuts that they have. I literally get my vanities done for like $120, all nice stone on the tops of the vanities. Whereas if I was to order the slab in and then they'd have to cut the piece out of it, and I'm all picky about the color, you'd be looking at well over $1,000 for just a vanity piece. Now, the other option is epoxying over your old benchtop, the cheaper option. Now, this is an interesting one, and it's only come about the last couple of years. You can get these epoxy kits. Now, Stone Coat Countertops, you know, Ligari products, they do an amazing job of promoting these products and showing you. There's heaps of videos on it. I don't need to really explain how they all work. I am here to tell you they are reasonably strong. They do last. They last for a long time. They're not quite as scratch resistant as like your stone and your laminate, but they are a decent product. And if you have a good bench top that's in reasonable condition and you put this stuff over the top of it, you can get a ton more life out of it. It looks really good. It's up for you to decide. You're looking at probably on a bench top this size about $300, and you know, a day of your time to apply this epoxy stuff all over the bench top. It does get very messy though, let me tell you. The main key with this is to mask up everything and just put plastic all over the floors, because this epoxy stuff just drips everywhere. But it does look really nice, and you can get very creative with it. Now, what to do with your splashback? Glass, tile, or acrylic? Now, I would usually always go tile, especially on a rental property. It's just so durable, the tile splashbacks, and they look really good, okay? You can go glass and you can spend a lot of money on glass, but it does cost a lot. For a rental, I don't think it's worth it. Or you can go acrylic, which looks like glass and it looks great, but then it's acrylic. It doesn't do well with hot pans and stuff. If you press a hot pan up against it, it's a plastic in the end of the day, and it's not great for that. I would usually go tile. Glass is really expensive and acrylic is still pretty expensive. So my option would always go to go tile, and you can tile over tile. So if there's existing tile there and it's really hard to get off, you can tile over the top of the tile, that's fine. You just want to get your angle grinder and roughen up those tiles, scratch them up a bit with sandpaper so the glue sticks to them. I've done this multiple times, it works great. Now you can obviously stick glass and the acrylic straight over tile as well. But say your tiles are in decent condition, but they've just got an ugly pink color or an ugly green color, something that's way out of fashion. You can get this Rust-Oleum tub and tile kit. Now, this looks great. This makes these old tiles, old pink tiles, look like brand new gloss white tiles. And on a rental property, 100% I recommend just applying this over your old tiles if the tiles are in reasonable condition. If they're just an ugly color, apply this stuff over it and they look like brand new white tiles, and it's super cheap. That's my opinion on splashbacks. Now these are all the things I like to do on my rental properties, and when you follow the correct steps, the work really comes up nicely and it lasts a long time. Really durable. Okay, it gets a bad rap because people dodgy it up and they don't use the right primers, or they don't clean the doors properly, and then the paint comes off or it gets chipped. If you follow these steps, you will have a very durable, long-lasting product, and it is definitely a great option if you don't want to spend $40,000 on a brand new kitchen for a rental property. Okay, this will increase value in your home. Kitchens are like one of the #1 things people look at. You create that good feeling inside the kitchen, it's going to increase value in your home. You know, you might want to increase value and then pull out equity and buy into another property. That's actually what I did with my first property. Is I fixed up the kitchen and a bunch of other things, and then we used the equity. I got it evaluated a couple months after, and we used that equity to pull out and go into the second property, which we've now done the same thing. It's like an endless spiral. You might want to do that, or you might just want to, maybe you got an FHA loan, or you got like a 10% loan, 10% down payment loan, and you've got to have mortgage insurance on the property, and you want to increase the value in the property, get it evaluated so you don't have to pay mortgage insurance anymore. That could be another thing. Maybe it's a rental property, you just want to increase rents, or you're having trouble getting a quality tenant because they don't want to live in somewhere that's old, outdated, that sort of thing. So by updating the kitchen, you can really attract that better quality tenant and get extra rent for it too. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I appreciate you spending the time, and I hope you learned a lot. I really love doing these sort of restorations on kitchens. I've done so many of them. I know all the little tricks. So I'd appreciate you guys. If you found this helpful, drop a like or a comment, whatever you want to do. If you do have some more questions about it, just hit me up on Instagram. I'm usually answering most of my DMs on there. So hit us up on there or drop a comment down below, and people might be able to help you out in there too. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.